trial into the Enyobeni Tavern tragedy resumes today in the East London Magistrate's Court. The court is expected to hear testimony from the Eastern Cape Liquor Board. Tavern owners Siyakhangela Ndevu and his wife have pleaded not guilty to contravening the Liquor Act by selling alcohol to underage children. 21 teenagers died under very mysterious circumstances at that establishment in June of last year. Let's bring into the conversation Newzroom Africa's Siphosethu Booi, who joins us live ahead of the trial resuming today. Siphosethu, it's great to see you. It's interesting as well that the owners have pleaded not guilty to contravening the Liquor Act in a context where there's plenty of eyewitness testimony that they did exactly that. They sold alcohol to underage teens.
And you remember, Michelle, that the first state witness, Siyakhangela, last month had alluded to the fact that he saw young people dressed up in black, which for him seemed as though there was some event they were coming from, but he was just not sure in terms of what event this was about. And he also made mention of the fact that these were young people, so one would say that those were teenagers. And when he was asked by the state prosecutor that is leading this particular trial, that how old would he predict these young people were, he said probably around 15 years old. And you remember that Siyakhangela doesn't live far from the Scenery Park Enyobeni Tavern. That's where the event took place. And you remember that it was a pens down event. This is a wildly well celebrated event by young people and teenagers in the Eastern Cape province. Come June, come December, that's where young people attend these type of events, Michelle, to celebrate the end of exam season. So there were posters that were seen on social media speaking about this particular event, and I remember quite vividly the manager that was speaking to media houses at the time, just explaining how full and packed that particular event was inside and outside. So today we will hear two state witnesses from the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, and you'll remember, Michelle, it's very important to note the fact that Mr. Siyakhangela had mentioned in his evidence that he was giving that they called the Eastern Cape Liquor Board for a meeting, as well as the owners, Siyakhangela Ndevu, as well as Vyokazi Ndevu, who's the wife of Siyakhangela, to join them in a meeting to just speak about some of the things that these young people were doing in and around their areas, also making mention of the fact that some of these young people he would find outside of his yard having sex. So when they spoke to Mr. Ndevu and Mrs. Ndevu about this, they put up an arrogant way of saying that he should put a fence up around his house to make sure that these young people don't come into his yard. And also it is important to note that this meeting was also called by community members to call the Eastern Cape Liquor Board. So today we will hear if whether or not that meeting took place with the community members as well as the Eastern Cape Liquor Board, and what really happened with regards to the issue of seeing young people being in a place of substance abuse, or rather where they were sold substance abuse. Remember also that 21 young people passed away last year in June in Scenery Park at a tavern called Enyobeni. So today we hear the state speaking, or rather asking these two witnesses to give detail in terms of what happened or what transpired in the meeting, if that meeting sat. So today that trial continues here at the East London Magistrate's Court, Michelle.
Siphosethu Booi, thanks very much indeed for that update. Hard to believe it's almost a year in June since that tragedy.